All right, so let's talk through closure. During this time, I'm not going to. Of course, I y'all know me. I'm a pastor of a leader of a church, but and I do believe in Jesus holistically. But you man, I hear a lot of scripture today, and that's okay. But because I want us to kind of take it from the psychological standpoint to make sure that we understand what closure is and whatever else. I have coined a statement that says, and again, if you are watching and you want to share this out to anybody, it's like, hey, you can get in here. You can also press the share button and invite them as well. Um, I have a statement that I say that there are some times you are never going to receive an apology. There are some times where we genuinely want an apology for what has happened to us, what someone has done to us, and so many different things. However, I am one that strongly believes that Jesus Christ dying on the cross was our greatest apology for some apologies you are never ever going to receive from people who are not mature enough to give them. So my statement is, if you are looking for an apology, look to the cross. And the reason why I coined that statement, the Holy Spirit gave me that statement, was because there are some apologies you are never going to receive. And many of us feel like that the way we are going to receive closure from situations, from a person, from a circumstance, from a moment, is if someone apologizes for us, to us, because of what happened. And there are sometimes, you all, that is not going to be the case. Sadly enough, there are so many people who are locked in what happened to them because they have not received that moment of an apology. So tonight, the purpose of tonight, this masterclass, is to help you kind of walk through and navigate through that moment where you feel like you're needing that apology, but also they help you realize like it is okay for you to look inward to find some closure and to help you understand psychologically that you always don't need another person to provide that closure for you. And so the point of tonight is to helping you through that. And I really believe by the time we get done, if you really listen in and you really apply what I'm sharing with you all, I really feel like you are going to experience some hope and some freedom in several different ways. Okay. It is only human to crave closure after the ending of something significant. It is very human, so I don't want you to think that you're a horrible person because you desire closure, okay? Closure is very normal. It is a thing that is typically often desired by human beings. Because you are looking at me and I am looking at you, that means you are a human being, okay? So that means that it is natural to desire closure from something specific. And when it comes to grief or the loss of something, okay, just a rabbit trail, isn't it hilarious that when people, sadly, when people lose somebody, they'll say, I'm so sorry for your lost with a T at the end. Child, they ain't lost. Well, prayerfully, but, it's lost, LOSS. Anyway, I just think it's hilarious. I be on Facebook like, I'm so sorry for your lost. Like, what the heck? It's lost. All right, Jesus. All right, anyway. So it is very important for you to realize that it is perfectly okay to crave, to desire that. Okay. Now, when it comes to grief and loss, LOSS, it is not when someone just dies. It is when anything happens. It could be the end of a career. It could be death. It could be a loved one hurting themselves, the ending of a friendship, the ending of a relationship. Even you can grieve a change in status or a change of the way that you live. These are just examples that I think are very important for you to understand that this can involve the need or desire for closure and letting go of things that are or were once so important to us is difficult and doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build that closure in. Some people have it quicker than others. Some people are easier than others, but it does not mean that you're a horrible person because you are presently still dealing with us. But does getting closure actually help you let go? And can you really expect other people to give you the closure that you actually desire? And the truth of the matter is, you guys, you can. And here's the reason why. As you seek through life and seeking closure from people, there are some people that are just not going to be able to provide you with that closure you are expecting. And there are some people who are just not mature enough to realize you did something wrong. Or you could go and tell them that they really hurt you or they did something to you. And they'll be like, oh, I know I did that. Well, I'm my bad. And just walk away. And you like, I know you lying. You're ready to pop off because like, bro, like you're not taking this as serious as I really thought that you would. And especially if they say, I love you and I appreciate you and all this stuff. It is something crazy to get hurt by someone that says they love you. It is horrible to go through life and go through a very gut wrenching situation. And you're just like, and it seems like nobody else cares, but they did it to you. And so I think it's very important that this need for closure, and it's actually formulated, that need for closure or closure, the theory of it came and started in 1990s from a social psychologist, I can't say the word, psychologist. I think I said it right. Who cares? It's the Masterclass. Anyway, some psycho person that does the study in all these things.
Psychologist.
Thank you. All right. And so, wait, no, that's something else. Anyway, but I want us to understand that it was coined in 1990. And this statement in theory of closure is very important. And he was referring to, when he made this, he was referring to the framework for decision making that aims to find an answer on a given topic that will alleviate confusion and ambiguity. So this whole theory of closure is just to help you alleviate confusion. Now, if you ever had something happen to you, it can be very challenging when you don't have closure because it leaves you with questions. And questions can keep you in a pool and make you just hate life because you are just going through the whirlwind of all these questions with no answer. And it's very difficult to go through life and you're not able to get the answers that you are desiring. It can be challenging. It can be, it can take over your mental capacity in every facet. You can smile one moment and then someone trigger you by saying something and it brings up that question that's been covered in dust for years because you haven't gotten the answer that you really need and feel like you need. When we seek closure, though, we are looking for answers as to the cause of a certain loss in order to resolve the painful feelings it has created. When we seek closure, when you seek closure, when I seek closure, we are looking for answers as to the cause of a certain loss, whatever that loss may be, in order to resolve the painful feelings it has created. One more time. When we seek closure, we are looking for answers as to the cause of a certain loss in order to resolve the painful feelings it has created. When you have something painful that happens to you in your life, you want a reason why. Why did that happen? Why did I go through that? Why must I feel like I have to? These are things that you ask yourself, and it's to resolve that because when you have whys, you want some answers, and if you don't get those answers, it creates an area of confusion. It creates an area of just loss, to feeling lost, or it creates a cloud, a dark feeling because you're just left in a whirlwind of just all these things. And when you have questions with no answers, it will create an atmosphere that is the worst thing. And it is one that just leaves you in wonder. It leaves you in imagination. It leaves you in false realities because then it's like, okay, you start coming up with all these scenarios and you start coming up with all these imaginations of what would have happened, what could have happened, the reason why it happened. Was it my fault? Was it their fault? No, it was their fault. No, maybe it was your fault. No, it ain't me. Like, it's just all of these things go on. And so it's very important that we don't find ourselves trying to solve the mental puzzle of what is going on in your life, examining each and every single piece, trying to find some relationship to the overall puzzle. It's a very dangerous place. So you can get closure from yourself. This is a very not unpopular opinion. You can get closure from yourself. I think you can find closure in anything because you can't get others to give you closure. You cannot get others to give you closure. It doesn't work well. You can try to explain to them what they did, but if they're not at the level of understanding, they won't know. And that's the sad part to some degree. But in reality, you all, there are some things you are never going to get closure from somebody else. You're never going to get the answers they had. Now, this can go back to childhood, something that your mom did, your dad did, both your parents did. The absence of one parent, the absence of both parents. friendships, best friends, all of these things. There are so many situations and things. Some the people that I know that we have there, and I have been in that case too. Family dysfunction is something that will cause you to enter into a level of just a space of no not closure, and it sucks. Okay, that's just the plainest way I can say it. It really is bothersome, and there are some things, you all, that maybe you have done to yourself that has left you trying to figure out what life is anymore. You can receive closure from yourself too, things that you have done. All right. And so this mainly is because the person you are seeking closure from may or may not be honest or correct. Have you ever had somebody just lie in your face and you want to punch them real quick because they're just lying. You know they're lying, but they choose just not to give it, or they feel they're being fake, or they're being not genuine in that. Now, finding closure means to completely accept what has happened. Finding closure means to completely accept what has happened. Finding closure means to completely accept what has happened. Okay? Finding closure. I'm saying it because I don't want you to get sidetracked, but finding closure means to completely accept what has happened and take steps away from what's finished and towards something new. Finding closure means to completely accept what has happened and take steps away from what's finished and towards something new. There's a few definitions, a few things in that. Finding closure means to completely accept what has happened. Some of you all are stuck at that because you don't want to accept that happened. It's been years, but you're still trying to accept it. Accepting that piece of it did happen. It happened to me. I didn't want to admit it. But you can't avoid what has happened. It did happen, whether you believe it or want to believe it or not. It did happen, okay? And so finding closure means to completely accept. That means holistically, completely accept what has happened. Take steps away from what's finished, because remember, what has already happened is already finished. It's already done to you. Whether it's bad, good, or whatever else, it's already finished. And then towards something new, because there is always a next, even to your right now. There's always a next, even to your right now. Plainly put, we've got to get some stuff done, and that means we got to evolve and look into this and how we move forward. So now let's get into how we're going to move from where we are right now in where we are stuck at, and then into our next, so we can move forward from that. Okay, number one, you got to take full responsibility for yourself. Number one, take full responsibility for yourself. Number one, take full responsibility for yourself. Okay. What this means is it is ultimately up to you to take the necessary actions to help move you forward. The truth of the matter is there is nobody else that's connected to you, maybe on this masterclass, or that in your personal life that can move you forward. You have to make that choice to move forward. If you choose to be a victim to what has happened, you end up missing the beauty of moving forward. There is a beauty to moving forward, even though right now feels very damning. It feels very much so like a prison. It feels very locked in. There is a next. No matter how long you've been in this cave and how long you've been in this pit and how long you've endured what you're going through, there is a next to you, and you've got to hold on to that. You got to also begin to have conversations with yourself, asking questions in the form of even self-dialogue, because that will help you move from that. These are questions you can ask, for example, like, what am I holding on to? Who am I holding on to? If I'm holding on to something, is it making me happy? Is it making me upset? Is it bothering me? Is it grieving my heart? Is it robbing me of my peace? Are you using this holding on to them or it as an excuse to stay stuck or unresolved? Because you feel like it gives you permission to feel the way that you feel? Are you trying to avoid dealing with the loss of something and the void that loss creates? Because where something was and it is taken away from you abruptly, it does leave you in a place of emptiness. If you're willing to let it go, if I'm willing to let this go, what does that mean? What does letting go mean? Are you afraid of not knowing what the outcome would be, which that's fear. Because the outcome of something after you move on can be very fearful of moving on to something new. And what do you believe will happen if you do let go? Imagination can be very challenging with these questions as you think them through. And the reason why is because if you think these questions through, trying to figure out what's next and what to do and how to navigate through that, you're going to find out and figure out that as you think about these questions, if you really do take this exercise seriously, you're going to figure out that as you do these questions, you're going to start thinking, and things are going to start coming up, and things that you suppressed is going to start coming up, and what's in the non-conscious is coming up to the subconscious, and it's coming up to the I mean, all of these things are going on, but you've got to be careful to make sure you answer these for the benefit of your future, not for the benefit of your right now. Because right now has ringed a lot of us out. 2021 has ringed a lot of us out, fam. But however, there is a next that's coming, and you got to be prepared for that. And so you ask these questions for your future, not for right now. And being as honest as you can will pay off in the long run. You've got to be honest with yourself, though. Because pain, hurt, anger, disappointment will diminish. Hear me. These things will go away, but first you have got to clear the road. I live in the state of Kentucky. You may live somewhere else. But if you live in a state where there is no snow, I am very envious of you. But if you are, I like snow to a certain degree. Not really, a little bit. If it's a little bit of snow, sure. But 16, 17 inches, no. But my point for that is, if you have snow, if you have your street, if the snow trucks refuse to plow your street, you can't get out. If you have a car, whatever, depending on how low you're sitting, it'd be very challenging for you to move through because there's too much snow. You'll get stuck. If the snow truck comes and already paves the way, that means you can get through clearly. The same concept when it comes to your mind. If you're not willing to deal with what's there, you will create something called clutter, cloud, fog. It will be there. And it's hard to navigate through those things because all those things are piled up on the street. I have a baby girl, and she used to pile up her toys in the middle of the floor. And I learned my lesson one time. I got up late at night to get a snack. And I did not pick up that pile of toys because she had just ruined me that day, okay? And I was going to a dark house trying to get to the kitchen to open that refrigerator, and I stubbed my toe on them toys. And I wanted to fuss at Aria so bad. I mean, I wanted to wake her up and make her come in and clean them toys. But in reality, that was my fault because I knew they were there, but I didn't take time to deal with what was in front of me. And the same concept for you. When you know something's there, it is very dangerous to cut off the light. Because when you cut off the light, say, I'm not dealing with this right now. When you cut off that light, you run the risk of running into something that's going to mess you up. And here's the thing. I felt that pain and instantly was mad at Aria. But in reality, as the parent, I should have taken the obligation and the opportunity to pick up that stuff and place it where it belonged so I would not hurt myself. At the other side, I probably should not have been getting up and trying to look for a late night snack. That also would have helped my pain. But I can't be mad at something that somebody else left, and when in reality, I had the knowledge that it was there. And so what I'm trying to help you and admonish you in is that you got to understand, you got to take time and identify what's there. Once you identify what's there, you take the moment to say, hey, let me deal with this and not push this back to the back burner. Let me deal with it. Number 2, grieve the loss. Grieve the loss. L-O-S-S. Grieve the loss. Grieve the loss. And listen to me. I don't care what nobody else tells you. Take as much time as you need. I am a pastor, but there are several pastor people that I may know that say, just get over it. Hurry up, move on. Just keep on. That is not okay. Take as much time as you need. Here's my biblical reference, though. Ecclesiastes 3 says there is a time for mourning, M-O-U-R, and then there is a time for dancing. So do I believe that grief has a limit to it? I do, and there is a difficulty of sometimes staying in something for too long. But we don't focus on getting over it. Listen. Don't focus on getting over it. Focus on moving through it. Okay? Don't focus on getting over it, because that's not what we're doing. We're not going to get over it. We're going to move through it. And here is why. If you get over it, okay, so here's my hand. If I get over it, I'm not even addressing what's there. I'm just trying to create something or build something to move over something. That's not good. But if I take time, because we're seeking closure tonight. But if I take time to move through it, that means I'm going to collide with it. I've got to learn from it. I'm going to educate myself about it. I'm going to learn something about me. I'm going to learn something about God. I'm going to learn something about my community. And then by the time I'm over it, I have a full scope. Listen, so I don't end up in the same situation again. Cycles are nothing but the refusal to learn what you should have learned. That's all cycles are. The over and over and over it because you refuse to learn what you have learned. Some of y'all may be asked this year, like, God, why do I have to keep going through this stuff? And sometimes the answer is like, hey, you need to learn. And sometimes like, okay, what am I learning? If you find yourself kind of always faltering to the same emotional response to the situation, you got something to learn. If you find yourself having the same vocal response, you got something to learn. If you just start cutting people off because all of them, it's like it's going on, you got something to learn. Until you respond differently, there will always be a cycle, and you've got to learn something different than what it is. But if you find yourself grieving for a long time, now here's where I admonish this. I admonish this period because I'm one who believes in therapists and counselors. Okay, but here's the issue. A lot of people say, well, how long is too long to grieve? And here's my response to that. If you find yourself getting to a place of hopelessness, that's when you got to start seeking some other help. Okay? There's nothing wrong with seeking help immediately, but if you're trying to navigate through it yourself and you find yourself getting to the point of hopelessness, depression, sadness, you feel yourself kind of sinking into a pit, that's when you hurry up and reach out. Because if you delay that reaching out, if you delay yourself reaching out, it'll be hard to reach that hand up and ask for help because you're so stuck in what that is, okay? So if you find yourself getting to the sense of hopelessness in your grief, that's when you reach out and find somebody, because the prolonged or incomplete grief may contribute to making poor choices in your future because you suppress all that stuff, okay? And the ability to be honest or trust, to be yourself is essential for a new, healthier relationship or situation to present itself to you. Unfinished business, like what you're just trying to keep on trying to move through, unfinished business must be completed and resolved before you move on. You got to make sure you complete some things before you move on. Because if you move on and don't resolve it, it's going to come back up whether you want it to or not. Number 3, gather your strengths. Gather your strengths. Gather your strengths. Make sure you take time to gather your strengths. And what I mean by this is you got to surround yourself with people who support and encourage you. Surround yourself with people who support you and encourage you. And the reason is it is so important to have healthy community. Without healthy community, sometimes you won't even recognize what the heck is going on with you. You won't realize you are sinking. And if you are at a place in your life where you feel like you are around community, but they are not able to identify and notice things that are going on with you, there's 2 parts of that. 1, maybe you need a new community. Number 2, maybe you're not just willing to be open and honest with them. Okay? So there's a 2-part factor to that. Sometimes, I know this can be annoying to hear, but I do stand by it. Sometimes you got to focus on the positives in your life right now. And even if there's nothing positive, there is something you can thank God for. And although you may be going through a lot of stuff in your life, the fact that you can see and actually go through it is enough to thank the Lord, okay? I know that may be like, I don't know, but you're living. And know, for whoever said this in your heart as I'm sharing, and maybe you're watching the replay to it, it is not, death would not be a better option. There is life. There is hope in what you are in. And even though you are going through things right now, it doesn't mean this is going to be forever, although it may seem like you've already been stuck in forever. And you don't have to feel stuck. You just have to do something about it. It's making a choice to step up, making a choice to move forward, making a choice to do this. And you have to practice having a growth mindset. And this takes practice, you all, to have a mindset that looks forward to something. You got to pick hobbies that bring you joy. Try something new. Get rid of unhealthy habits. Replace them with healthy ones. Embrace rejection, because life is not always going to be hunky-dory all the time. Embrace rejection and be open to new experiences. Take new classes, learn from your mistakes. These are things gathered that help you gather your strengths, because the Bible even says that when you are weak, that's when his strength is made perfect in your weakness. And so as you move through, understand that, gather your strength, but also realize where you are weak and where you cannot move in something. Allow his strength to come upon you and to help you move forward in that. Number 4, make a plan for the future. Number 4, make a plan for the future. Number 4, make a doggone plan for the future. Why? Because we all have a future. All of us have a future. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts I have toward you, says God. They are good and not of evil, to bring you to an expected end. And I am one who strongly believes that the expected end of God is not the same as your ending. And it's not the ending that you have come to grips. It is not the ending that you have pushed away. It is a different ending. It is a beautiful ending, and God has something beautiful just for you. And you've got to know that there is an end to where you are right now. There is a conclusion that you don't know about just yet. And there is an expected end that you haven't gotten to just yet. And even before you get to that place where you're like, I'm done, I've had enough, I am over it, this is not getting any better, I want to end it all, I'm done with it right here. Before you get to that place, you reach out and let someone know, hey, I feel like I'm losing hope and I need help. Because there is somebody else who can probably partner with you, who has the same story as you, to help you through that where you are. I am one in my life who suffered years of depression, years of suicidal attempts, year of failed suicidal attempts, praise the Lord, of every kind. And so I understand what it is to be there. I may not have been where you are, but I can tell you about a God who is able to access you, and who's accessible to you to help you out, and to even lead you to people who can be of resource and help and conversation as a counselor or therapist. So the one important thing is to take action in order to make things happen. And this is helping you make a plan for your future. 2020 is a day away, okay? And I want you to realize that. 2020 is on Saturday, okay? Legit. And it's Thursday, and Saturday is almost here. You've got to take an opportunity and take a moment to realize, like, man, like, it's really around the corner. And you have time to make a vision board. You have time. And for some of you all, that when I said that, y'all like, I don't know about that, David. But here's the thing. Even if you understand as you're making that, it is not too late to plan. And listen, just because you haven't had a good year or a good set of years does not mean, 2022, my bad, or does not mean that 2022 is going to be bad or just like what I've been through. It's not all the time. It's not. Okay, we're not going back. Right, my bad. So you've got to understand that, you all. Just because 2021 wasn't the best for you doesn't mean that 2022 is going to be the same way. You've got to know the importance of moving forward. So I admonish you, make a plan. Get you a new notebook, child. Listen to me. Tomorrow, you got homework. Go out and get you a new, fancy, cool notebook and write some things out, okay? Even if you're listening to this and it's way past in 2022. Make a plan, set some goals, get some excitement back for your life, plan time for you, self-care. I told a nurse today, I went to the doctor today, and she's like, man, she said, oh my gosh, look at your fingernails. Like, I'm like, yeah, I think I was always taught that men should have nice hands, because if people are gonna look at your hands, you gotta know that. Now, for some guys, they don't believe that because they working real hard. That's fine. You got blisters and calluses or whatever. Go ahead. I enjoy the self-care of going to get manicures and pedicures, okay? And because my hands are always visible in everything that I do. So you're like, oh my gosh, your hands are so nice. I was like, thank you. I appreciate it. He's like, man, look at mine. I need to make time for me. And as a nurse, I was like, like, your life this year has been stressful. It's been crazy. And in reality, I was like, man, I really should have like probably given her some money. This is a blessing to say, hey, take yourself out to a great nail salon and take a moment to have some self-care for you. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, those nurses this year with COVID have been through a lot. Maybe I'll go back and try to find her. But man, I was like, man, like, I should have just given her some money and said, hey, go have a manicure and a pedicure on me. I really should have done that, man. But I'm telling you, this moments like that, my point is, take some time for some self-care. If you don't like manicures and pedicures, go get your hair done. If that's not your thing, go to the park. Maybe it's cold outside. Go to the library. Go take a drive. Go buy yourself something new. Like it is nothing wrong. It is nothing wrong with treating yourself, you all. And I think a lot of times we get to the moments where even trying to plan for the future that we don't plan for us. We'll plan for everybody else, but we won't plan for us. Where do we go shopping? But don't be compulsive, okay? When you go to shopping. When it comes to, we don't plan for us. We don't take time to realize that we are important as well. Not just them. Some of y'all need to start budgeting yourself too. And hear me, and I mean hear me well tonight. If they, whoever they are, if they're not giving and reciprocating that same energy, let it go. You hear me? Let it go and make it healthy. Make it healthy. Make the departure healthy, because we ain't just like, I'm gonna cut you off. Like, no. Make it a healthy disconnect. Because some of y'all wrong for that too. Y'all love that cancel culture stuff. Y'all will just cancel somebody in a second. But let them go. It is okay to value yourself. And I'm telling you something that I'm still learning to this day. But it is okay to value you. If it is not benefiting you, if it's not helping you grow, if they're not helping you protect your peace, if they're not bringing you joy, bye. Because you are worth goodness too. And you are worth love. And you are worth value. And you are worth healthy community. And you are worth a healthy heart. And you are not worth stress and hate and envy and jealousy and pain and turmoil. You're not worth that. So let's move you into the front picture, the front of this. And no, it's not being selfish to consider yourself first. Consider yourself. Because if they not, so it makes sense for you to consider yourself. It is so healthy. Sorry for my rabbit trail. But I really do. I said what I said. And I meant that, okay? Make time for you as you plan for the future. Take yourself out on a date. Okay? Go have fun. All right? I don't receive any gifts this Christmas. But what I tell you what I did. I went and bought myself a gift because I was like, you know what? David is worth it. And I'm going to go buy myself a gift. And I did. All right? It's not about, my point is like, you got to value you instead of focusing on like, oh my gosh, no one else thought about me. You think about you, bro. Like, you take time to think about you. Why? Because you worth it. You'd have made it through this year and you'd have overcome some stuff. You may be still dealing with some things, but you are still breathing and still pushing forward. And that should be celebrated. So make a plan for your future. Buy yourself the expensive notebook, okay? The one that makes you feel real good. Buy yourself a good pen. Buy yourself an expensive new pen with fresh ink and write out some plans and goals for you this year. Why? Because appreciating you will help you realize, listen, you are worth closure. Okay? So make a path. If you can't find a path out, make that path and let's go out. Mama Sherry said, I want a RAV4. It's a new car. Get yourself a new car, okay? Get yourself a new house, okay? Be wise in your financial decisions, praise the Lord. However, get yourself a puppy, whatever it may be, but just engage in whatever you want. I said I wasn't going to read the comments, but here I am reading them because I love y'all. But take time to engage in you and plan for the future, okay? Why? Because you're worth it. Number 5, create a ritual. I'm almost done. Create a ritual. Create something, create new habits, okay? These kind of things. Now, believe it or not, these new traditions, I don't want to say rituals, because I want y'all, I ain't on no witchcraft stuff, okay? But these new traditions, these new habits is a powerful tool to help gain closure, creating new healthy habits, okay? Beyond thinking and talking, a tradition or a ritual is driven by the intention and the action, okay? A symbolic enactment allows you to utilize your creativity and intuition in order to bypass the intellectual and logical part of your brain. For example, when a relationship is over, what do you do with all of the meaningful objects and items, such as letters and pictures, etc., that were a part of the relationship? Some people do a fire ceremony. They just burn it all up. Some people keep it because it's good stuff. However, there are some things that you got to get rid of, and but to a healthy way to do that is to sometimes you got to get rid of something. You got to let it go, give it away, whatever. But my point is, sometimes what bothers us is because we keep fixing our eyes on something, fixing our eyes on something that's not healthy. That's not good for us. It keeps us always in remembrance of what happened and what we had. So sometimes you got to be the bigger person and say, you know what, I can't keep this. I have to let this go. Even if it's a nice ring, or even if it's a nice picture, or whatever you bought for yourself that maybe, hey, if it's disrupting your peace, even for you, you gotta let some things go. I would encourage you this last day of the year to go through your house and just make some inventory with your new notebook and say, I need to get rid of this. I need to sort through this. I need to go through this box. I need to start rejecting this closet and start dealing with things. Did you know that the way your room looks and your house looks is a reflection of the atmosphere of your heart? I'll say it that way. If your room is dirty, if your room is all in clutter, but the rest of your house is whatever, it's like, oh my Lord, it's like something's going on. You'll make the rest of your house look nice because people come over, but you want your room to be dirty or clumsy or cluttered, and the reason why is because your mind is too messed up or your heart is too infatuated with all these things. It's time to clear some things up. It is time to clear some things up. Lately, I've been realizing that sometimes the rest of my house is fine, but I'll neglect sometimes. Like when I come in the door, I come into my back door because my garage leads to my driveway leads to my back door. So when I come in, I'll notice I'll just toss things there. I'll just kind of throw my coat over the chair, or I'll leave something right there, or I'll toss some shopping bags on there with stuff in it that I need to put up, but I won't. But for me, in my understanding, the kitchen is a place where things are prepared and where things are served. So the part of me needs to address that to say, hey, I need to look at what I'm giving and my preparation and my serving. Do I know that I'm good enough to make sure these things are clean and these things are put away and to put things up and whatever else? The kitchen should not be a place to throw a coat down. A coat belongs in the closet. You see what I'm saying? So like these things, if you come into your front door and you come in and it's been a stressful day at work, you're like, woo, I'm tired, child. And you just come in and toss your purse down on the couch and toss your coat down and toss the laptop down. And you just toss, I'll get it later. You just slump down like, woo, I'm tired. Look at y'all. Some of y'all, that's you. And the thing is, that may be okay for a moment, but what happens is we do that and then we get up and it's like, oh, I gotta fix dinner. And you just leave the stuff there and go in the next room. And you leave trails, listen, and pieces of your day that caused you stress all around your house. You see how unhealthy that can be? Because every time you walk out of that kitchen and you look in that living room, you see that coat and that laptop thrown on there, which reminds you of the stressful day you had at work. Versus taking the opportunity to create a healthy habit and saying, I had a stressful day at work, but I'm still going to put up my coat and hang up my purse or hang up my briefcase. And I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to be reminded of my stress. Because when I come in my house, that's a time for me to decompress and to relieve myself. It's my place of peace. And babe, let me tell you something. I ain't let nobody come in my house and messing up my peace. I pay bills here. Okay? I cut on these lights and I pay that bill. I ain't going to let you come and mess up my house. No. My house is full of peace, and it's going to stay that way. So for me coming in from work and may have had a stressful day, I got to make sure. And sometimes, like probably some of you all, you sit in the car and like, okay, cool. Let me just woosah when I pull up in this driveway before I go in the house, and let me think through what happened today. And that's maybe understanding that. Okay, that's understandable. But we can't allow ourselves to sink in that. So create some healthy habits is my point, okay? And some healthy habits maybe for some of us, going to the gym. Sweating is a great way to relieve and let things go, okay? Exercise helps you gain strength over your pain, even the pain that you go through. And even exercising helps release some endorphins into the system to elevate your mood, okay? Or endorphins help control and navigate your mood, your swings, okay? So try that. Write a letter to the person that hurt you. If you're dealing with somebody that hurt you or bothered you or made you upset, hey, write a letter to them. Let it out of your heart. Don't hold back, okay? Now, I am not one who advocates for any kind of vulgar language, cussing or whatever else. But listen to me. If it's in your heart, get it out, okay? Because I don't want you to hold on to nothing. Let it all out, okay? No one else is reading it. Just let it all out. If you gotta say a bad word, say the bad word and repent later, okay? But just let it all out. And the reason is because you may have been holding back too long in the first place, and I don't want you to do that anymore. The way you receive closure is you let it all out. Don't hold on to nothing. And listen to me. Listen to me. If you ain't believed nothing else I said all day, listen to this. Stop reserving your feelings to appease to somebody else. If I was in church, I would say, I don't got a church here. Y'all ain't gonna say amen, but I'm not in church. What I'm trying to say to you is stop holding back from how you truly feel and expressing that to benefit someone else's feelings. Don't you do that no more. If they hurt you, let them know, daggone it. You hurt me. Don't be like, I just want to let you know that, like, you know what you did to me, really just, it just really bothered me. No, you let it out. Don't be mean, but just let it out. Why? Because it is so important, you all. It is so important to express yourself. Why? And value you. If you can express yourself to everybody and be your full self and your full potential, there is a possibility you don't value you. You've got to make sure, okay, that you do that. Have a diet change your food. Sometimes the food we have just keeps us in the slump, okay? I've gotten rid of snacks. I don't eat them anymore, okay? Don't do that. If I do, it's a piece of cheese or a piece of broccoli or something like that. A healthy snack. To have something there that's healthy for you. All right. Going to get bonbons and eating your way into sorrow is not a good thing for you because it allows you to soak on that couch and watching that show or all these things. But have some healthy alternatives for you. If you can, I'm going to do this for next year. I know that all these variants are going on with COVID, but I'm telling you what I know. Next year, go to a body of water. Go on a vacation. Go ride a roller coaster. Go to a store you've always wanted to go to. Go window shop. Shoot. Do whatever you need to do. But find some things that make you feel good when you are around them and go and do it. Okay? I love water and I want to go be around someone just to listen to it. I want to go just listen to the ocean, just rush up against the rocks. I want to because that helps me, okay? So in the meantime, I just use an app that is really good that I can suggest to you all that gives that sound. But it's so real and it sounds really good, okay? But I'm telling you, water is a good way to help you just to relieve. I'm not sure what it is. I'm sure it's the sound and something just with sensory, but it helps you relieve, okay? So go do that. Go throw some rocks in the water. Go find you a lake and go throw some rocks. That also helps, okay? Allow yourself to feel the pain. That's very kind of hard to do for some of you, but I understand. Allow yourself to feel it. If you're feeling that, be honest with you and feel that pain. Give yourself 1 week. Give yourself 1 week to talk about the situation. Give yourself a time frame. Okay, to talk about the situation, okay? And when that time frame is over, done. All right, give yourself time to express yourself. You need that. Ask people to hold you accountable. Meditate on the word of God. Meditate and pray. Read the Bible, okay? Find something good to read. Find a very self-advancing and self-help book that's going to help you to do these things. Think about a moment of the hurt and give yourself the love and support you needed during that time. That could be kind of challenging, okay? Give yourself the love and support that you need during that time. Relive that moment, feel that pain, and give yourself what you always needed because sometimes everyone else can't do that. Also, change your language from I need to get closure to I'm having trouble getting closure to I'm finding closure within myself, okay? So change your language because I need to get closure. Or you say I'm having trouble getting closure. Try to start saying I'm finding closure within myself because language is so critical. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. That is a biblical principle, but it's also a life principle. What you say, you shall have, and what you say, you shall live in. And the way we speak to ourselves has a huge effect on our mindsets and our lifestyles. Some of us are products of stuff we said, and we live in what we have said. But if you start changing it, although things around you may not change, I'm going to go ahead and have the language for it. I know for me, I want to live in a certain tax bracket. I know for me, I would love to drive a certain car. I would love to live in a certain kind of house. I would love to have, this beautiful fancy family, all the kind of things. So I had to start programming my mouth to start speaking what I desire. Okay? Because if I speak it, I know that God can provide according to his will. And so if I start moving myself in that, I can start seeing things manifest all around me. The world has taken the word manifest and contorted it into something demonic. But manifestation is the principle of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we can manifest miracles, manifest signs, manifest wonders. And the Bible says that if we delight ourselves in him, he will give us the desires of our heart. And so I can watch those things manifest before me. Why? Because I'm connected to the heart of God. And the Bible says he withholds no good thing from me. And so if I desire to see those things, I've got to start speaking those things into existence. So right now, if you are desiring something for 2022, you've got to start preparing for what's there. If you want a new couch set, you've got to start clearing out the living room so you can have it. And who's to say your living room may be empty for a few months, but all I'm knowing is when I come in that living room, I'm saying I can't wait to see that new couch and that new love seat. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to have that new TV. And I'm gonna cut on that old TV with the line going down the middle with the crack on the side and watch it like it's my brand new TV. You've got to start speaking and expecting what you want to manifest before it ever comes into fruition. You've got to. And even I'm telling you, if you drive a car that is a little struggle and the heat may not be good right now and all these things, hey fam, you start that car and you clean it up like it's good. I used to drive a car that had all kind of spots. My friends used to say that my car looked like it had eczema to it because it was golden color, but under that gold of that 1993 Honda Accord, it was just yellow. So it just looked like it was always peeling. It had some hubcaps that were gray and yellow. And I mean, it just looked a mess. The heat sometimes was kind of flaky, but it ran well. And I drove it and I cleaned it. I shined the tires and the tires were always going flat because the rods were messed up, but I treated that thing like it's good. And by the grace of God this year, I'm sitting with a 2021 in my driveway. And it's not by any doing of my own, but because I took care of a hoopty, that I was able to watch myself evolve from that. You see what I'm saying to you? You've got to already look and start treating it like it is. Just because it's not giving you what you wanted to give you, you've got to make the choice and make the opportunity and space to treat what you want. If you can be faithful over the little, come on, Bible readers, then you can be faithful over the big thing when he gives them. You take care of that 1-bedroom apartment like it's that 14-room mansion that you want. Because it is a mindset. And the way that prosperity is not in what you have. Listen to me. Prosperity is not in what you have. It is a mindset first. If I can have a prospering mindset that says that I can do all these things through Christ that strengthens me. If I can have that prosperity mindset of this understanding, because it's not about money. It's not about things. It's a mindset. And if I realize who I am in God, I can know for a fact that I can be able to be okay. And I can have the things that I desire. And last, like I talked about earlier, make sure you block, delete, get rid of emails you need to. Here's the other thing. Don't give two flying flips about what somebody will think if you let them go. Bye. And if you got a problem with this, say because David told me so. Bye. I'm gonna yell in their face. Bye. And just let it go. Don't care what they think. And here's why, you all. It's not mean. You've got to value you. And all that matters is you are choosing to heal. That's beautiful. You're choosing to heal. Okay? Lastly, number 6, forgive yourself. And here's why I just kind of drop my anchor and then we prepare for questions if you have them. Forgive yourself. And I mean this with my heart. Forgive you. Forgive you. Forgiveness and closure go hand in hand. And forgive yourself, the other person, the situation, the reality that you refuse to accept. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing. Accept that you did the best with what you did know at that time. The greatest way to receive closure is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for whatever is holding you back. Accept that it doesn't need to control you anymore and that you don't have to control it anymore. Forgiveness is so important. for you and for everybody else. And some of you all may be stuck at that forgiveness place. Like, I just cannot forgive them. You don't know what they did to me. You weren't there when it happened to me. You don't understand what's going. I get that may be your place, your posture. I get it. At the same time, you holding on to it is not doing you anything but causing you more harm and pain. Take time to choose to forgive you and them, because you holding on to it is not helping them. It's not helping you. They're still living their life. And you're just like, oh, I mean, you could be scrolling on Facebook, and the moment you see a post by them, you're like, oh, I mean, you're just mad. You see what I'm saying? Let them go. First of all, block and delete. God, bye, gone, because you don't need to see it anymore. Because you need to heal. And it's okay to take those steps so you can, okay? But you gotta forgive. No, mom, no, we can't. Well, we can't punch anybody. No, you can't punch anybody. But I would strongly suggest of taking a boxing class, and help. That may help you tremendously, okay? But you got to take time to realize how important it is for you to let it go. They are still living. Let me help you. They are still living life. You should too. They are still moving on. You should too. And you don't have any right saying, well, I can't. They just seem so blessed. They're getting everything. I just can't, and I'm just sitting around after what they did to me. Yo, come back, because they're still living. You gotta live too. So make time for you to and understand the space of like, hey, you can move on and that's okay. Closure is complicated. It is a complicated cognitive process. And the key is learning to live with ambiguity when it can't be achieved, which means sometimes you have to learn how to live as closure is going on and live as and navigate through these moments, because sometimes things go wrong, and although it does not feel fair, life still always goes on, and finding closure within yourself allows you to move forward. It gives you the opportunity to find a new path and to walk down it. It allows you to learn something valuable from all that hurt and pain and people and significant events in your life that did not work out. Listen, from this point on, there are going to be things that's not going to work out, but you got to choose to move forward. There are things that's going to hurt you, but you still got to choose to move forward. Learn from the pain. Don't allow the pain to force you into something that's just keeping you locked in. Pain should not be a chain. It should not be a link. But for some of us, it has become that because we've experienced it so much. But hear me. Just because you've experienced a lot of pain does not mean it's going to be always. And the pain you feel right now is not going to be always. Hear me also with this. If you're taking notes, please write this down. And if you're not taking notes, just pin this to your heart. Okay? Keep it on a post-it note in the walls of your heart. Here it is. Ready? You can't heal in environments that broke you. Glory to your name, God. You can't heal in environments that broke you. You can't heal around people that pained you. You've got to take a step back. Heal. Then you can be released into maybe some of those things again. But you can't stay in a room with sharp objects and expect not to get cut again. When you've learned to shut the door on needing to get closure from other people, you open the door to yourself and start living in your truth. When you shut the door on needing to get closure from other people, because like I need them to say it. I need them. Hey, no. You've got to learn. I may not get that from somebody else, but I tell you what, I refuse to stay, because some of you all have in your mind, you've locked yourself in a room with that person or that situation, waiting on them to speak, and they no longer have a voice. The only voice that you're hearing from that person or that situation is what happened, ed, in the past to you, what they did, what happened. That's the only thing you're hearing, and you're circling a theory around what happened over and over. These theories about what could have happened and this and that and what's going on. You're creating these theories, but in reality, they're not there. But in your mind, because you've locked yourself into that, you're there stuck in the past with that person, with that thing, without taking the opportunity to realize they're not there. Don't allow yourself in the situation and the pain you may feel to lock you in a room with that situation, with that thing, only to suffer with it until they have a voice or something. And you're waiting on closure with something that is just offering you a chain. It's not worth it. And when you realize that it's not worth it, you'll realize how beautiful life really is, regardless of what's going on. It is so important for you in this moment to realize how important your life is to move forward, and how worth it you are to see something else and to receive something else. It's so worth it. And there is a scripture that I wanted to read to kind of close out this conversation, and then move into questions, that I think will be helpful for you. And I don't know where it went to, but it's fine. But I mentioned Jeremiah 29:11 earlier, that I know the thoughts I have toward you. The scripture in Romans even it says that after you suffered for a little while, the God of all grace will bring you into perfection. He'll establish you. He'll strengthen you. He'll perfect that thing. And sometimes you got to hold on. And I understand that many of us maybe are just like, we're just super tired because it's just like we're over it. It's been going on for so long. But I'm telling you, the best thing you can do right now is to realize I've got to close some things out. I got to close some things out. I got to close some doors. I got to cut off some people. I got to cut off some situations. I got to leave some environments, because you can't stay where you've been broken. It just doesn't work. And I used to think, just stay there. It's going to be okay. You'll get over it. No, it's not even healthy to force someone to stay in a place where it's not good for them. No, it's toxic. Don't stay there. Realize how important you are to move forward from that place and move into something else. It is so worth it, and you are worth moving forward, okay? So this closure masterclass is important. I did this just for you. I did it for us to ensure that, and this is just my knowledge and my help to help move you from I'm stuck on this side and I'm ready to get to the next side. Because I don't want you entering into 2022 with settling with life is just how it's going to be. It's always going to be this way. I hate this statement. It is what it is. I think that statement is so demonic. It is what it is. Because we're not called to settle. We're children of God. We're not called to settle. It is what it is. I'm not going to settle. It is what it is. No. All right. If I get a bad report from the doctor, I'm not going to say, well, it is what it is. No, I'm not going to receive that. Thank you for telling me what I need to work on, but I'm going to make some changes, and I'm going to do something what I got to do. All right. My doctor told me earlier this year that, like, hey, your glucose and stuff is out of whack. You are getting real close to being a diabetic. So what I do, I took control of my weight. And when I got my reports back, he was like, hey, wow, your levels are way down, period. And they're going to keep on going down because I chose to take control. That's how you receive closure. And so I received closure because I started making some healthy choices in the right direction. So that's my point for tonight. That's just to help you and to help just kind of give you that little nudge to help you start making some healthy choices to move forward. Is this going to happen overnight? No. But if you start making those healthy choices to move forward, it really will help you in everything you're called to do and what you're called to achieve. Your future is bright, but sometimes the pain and the stress of what you're in right now is clouding that. The future's still bright, although there may be a fog around it. Your future is still bright, and I want you to understand that, all right? Thank you so much for watching this, and I am so grateful for you.